Okay. Today, what I will try to do is I will try to summarize, not summarize actually. I will try to fill up a lot of gaps, a lot of miscellaneous discussions that need to be done while completing the first module. The first module had two topics, two chapters, tender and contract. Okay. So to conclude that, we need to find out certain few miscellaneous, some miscellaneous definitions which were discussed in the contract and all. Before I give you a sample contract, before I show you a sample contract. So next class I will show you a sample contract document, and we will discuss about some of the assignments. So before that, let me just quickly go through certain miscellaneous definitions. So first is in contract, like when can we say that a contract or an official contract, that means it is being signed, it is an agreement which is enforceable by law. So it is a contract, but because of certain incompetency of the parties to the contract, that means the authorities or the persons who are signing the contract, that particular contract might be held as a void or null, N-U-L-L, null. Okay. So the first reason for which a particular, so here what is happening is a contract is being signed, but later any of the any of the parties to that particular contract. So suppose two parties or more than two parties are simultaneously signing the agreement. So the agreement is being signed, but later it is being proved that the contract which was signed is an invalid contract. And that can happen because of four different reasons. So the first one says as infancy. Okay. So in this particular case, a person who has not been considered as a major according to law, as well as he has not attained the necessary age to sign that particular contract. So for example, say it might be a minor's contract. So in that particular case, a minor may be asked to sign the contract. But say you are signing a agreement where you don't need a minor to be signing it. So in that particular case, infancy means he is infant to sign the contract. He may not be infant in the eyes of law, or he may not be infant to get married, but he is an infant to sign or to be a responsible person to sign that agreement. Okay, so that is the first condition. The second condition to consider a contract as a void is lunacy. So a person who is said to be an unsound mind for the purpose of determining the validity of a contract. So contract may agreement, everything was point to point, but one of the party has given a person to sign the contract who is considered to be of unsound mind, commonly known as a lunatic. That means he cannot take rational decisions or rational judgment for the company whom he or she is representing during signing of the contract. So under that circumstances, it is a very common thing. You will find that there are a lot of cases in court where it is believed that okay, an agreement was signed, but where it was signed in a bar where the parties were made to drink as much as possible, and then okay, that's the other thing. So lunacy is उनको injection दे दिया गया है. If you remember that Jolly LLB 2, a person was made to confess something after being injected some sedatives and all, and his mind was in an unsound condition. So he signed it, he gave the statement, everything was fine, but because it was done in a lunatic condition, so still that contract is voidable. The third one is the one I was discussing, which is drunkenness. So here, the parties, any of the parties to the contract are not lunatic, neither they are infant, they are sane person. But while the contract was being signed, he or she was in such a drunken state that he was so intoxicated that he could not understand the importance or the reasons or the terms and conditions of the contract. So under that circumstances, this particular situation can be or can lead to the contract to be void. The fourth one is a term known as ultra vires. Ultra vires is a term which is very commonly used without knowing its meaning. That means the person is neither drunk, nor is a lunatic, nor is an infant. For example, say you are going to sign a building contract. You are an architectural office, a contractor के साथ an architect is getting a agreement being signed, and the contractor has promised to get a work done, and architect is supposed to pay him. A contract has to be signed now. Now, एक architectural office में many of you have, some of you have been to an architectural office. Is who is that girl? Ritika is online.
Yes, sir.
So have you been to the office or did you work from home?
So this year work from home. Last year I worked.
You worked in the office. So how big was your office and who were the members who used to work in your office other than you?
One senior architect, principal architect, one principal architect, and three, four senior architects, junior architects, and interns.
Nobody else worked in your office.
Civil engineers, many people were there.
Tell some of them. Tell some of them. Like if there are multiple, say 3 or 4 senior architects, you just tell me that there were senior architects. Who were the different types of peoples working, not the individual persons. So there was a senior architect,
Civil,
there were several
civil,
junior architects, there were a
uh,
few interns, there were civil engineers.
painters.
Okay.
Uh, yes, sir. I don't remember. Only these many people I met.
This many people. So you didn't notice anybody else,
No, sir.
right?
And
So
yes, once I also met when they like for fire safety for guiding something. One ma'am
some
used to come.
okay, okay. ऑफिस में चाय मिलता था या पीने का पानी?
हाँ सर
Who
लंच
used to
मिलता था
who used to prepare that?
फिर कुक was
So food was not supplied, it was cooked, and then
yes,
you used to have the food.
yes,
So do you feel that to run the office, that particular person's service is also required?
yes, yes.
Okay, so one more addition to your list. Okay, were you sitting in the same condition, same ugly condition, paper idhar udhar फैले हुए every day in your office, or was it cleaned every day?
Clean.
It
That
was
auntie
cleaned.
used to cook. She used to sweep the office clean every day.
Okay. So that means that person knows that this is a architectural office where multiple architectural consultancy happens. For the person, for the people working in that particular office, I will not say all were architect, but for those people, for the staff of the office, he used to prepare food, he used to clean the office and maintain it. Okay.
Yes, sir. And interior designers and receptionist was also.
Receptionist was also there. So uh, the chief architect might have sent a senior architect to sign a contract who was working in the same project. So that particular person was not an infant, neither was a lunatic, nor was he made to drink so much that he cannot understand the importance of the contract.
No.
So he can sign the contract. But tell me something. The person who used to prepare food for you in your office, can
Yes.
he be sent to sign the contract? Because
No.
he is a staff of the same office. You are signing the contract with the office, with the organization. He is a staff of that organization. So can you send him to sign the contract for the construction project with the contractor?
No.
Why not?
Because he won't understand the terms and conditions.
Under what circumstances? He is not an infant, neither a lunatic nor a drunk.
He is not from our like from the same like architect or
But he might be knowing how to sign a contract. आके सारी चीजें इंग्लिश में पढ़ लेगा, साइन करेगा, स्टैम्प मारेगा, हो गया कॉन्ट्रैक्ट.
but sir, he won't understand.
How are you so sure? He may be working in the same office for 10 years and he has started understanding signing of a contract is a small thing. You have to read aloud the terms and conditions and then sign on behalf of an organization. So the terms and conditions has been prepared by a senior architect. He is just going to sign the contract. So there, the condition says that he works as an ultra vires in case of signing the contract, which means that you are signing a contract after forming a corporation. You are incorporating certain people to corporate together to sign the contract. Now, that particular person, he is not an infant, not a lunatic, not a drunk, but he doesn't have the contractual power. He is a representative of the company, but he doesn't have the power to sign the contract. So, but other than that, if even if you would have signed the contract on behalf of the company, ऐसा होता है ना कि what we say कि अरे चाय बना के थोड़ा देते जाओ और ये पेपर लेके जाके उनके ऑफिस में दे के आ जाओ. So ये पेपर दे के आना और खाते में हाँ that particular person has received that paper, पियोन के काम. So उसमें क्या करना पड़ता है? उसमें तो बस दो साइन लेके आना पड़ता है. Why will he or she not understand? No, they will understand, but though even though it is enforceable by law, we will not consider it to be enforceable because that person doesn't have the power to sign. मतलब companies like you are an intern, even you didn't had a power to sign the contract on behalf of the company. इसके मतलब ये तो नहीं कि you never understood anything for the drawings or the contract. You also understood everything, but you didn't had the power to be corporated or to be incorporated to sign that particular contract.
Sir, what
This
about interior designers and civil engineers or some other
they may
department?
be given. They may. You might also have been given the authority to sign it. Once you have the authority, that means the person who is authorizing you knows your capability, knows what you can do, and he is giving the responsibility to you with full awareness of the situation. So now the situation happens that what we will say कि अरे आप तो कंपनी के मालिक है, आप तो आए नहीं राउरकेला में हमारे साथ साइन करने के लिए, आप किसी को भेजे थे, वो आके तो साइन करके चले गए. ठीक है.
Yes.
Because he has been given the responsibility and we consider him to be responsible, but later if we find that he was not responsible enough or he didn't had the power, उसको ऐसे टाई सूट पहना के भेज दिए है. ठीक है. जस्ट मतलब many of you have seen this movie of Priyadarshan, चुप चुप के, where Rajpal Yadav was sent to the house of Shahid Kapoor to give that money back. एक सूट पैंट पहना के टाई लगा के भेज दिए.
Yes.
But later if it can be, so these are contracts which are signed but later proved to be void, considering that the person who came to sign the contract didn't had the contractual power or there were some restriction upon his contractual power in incorporating that particular person to sign the contract. ठीक है. ये वाला example I guess everybody has heard this particular example, so they will not forget this term, but remember this term, it is ULTRAVIRES, ultra vires. Okay, we go to the next page. Control Shift minus. Okay, now in the IAS contract document, the last week's last class, we discussed about under several circumstances an extension of time can be made available. So can somebody come up and briefly in one or two sentences tell me what is meant by an extension of time? If I ask you that precisely, tell what is an extension of time or define extension of time.
We did not, we are not able to complete the work in a particular time, so we are asking to extend the time so that we can complete it.
So now he has to, like the person has to ask in writing, the contractor has to ask in writing with proper reason why he has delayed, and if that delay is acceptable according to the contract which was signed, then he can be given an extension of time as much as he asks for, or with modification, or may not be given that extension of time. That means there is a delay in performance. So what is a delay in performance? Let's discuss that. Unless a contract clearly provides otherwise, delay is not excused on the ground of bad weather, storm strikes, and labor troubles that we have said. So there has to be a provision in the contract clearly. If that particular section is not there in the contract, that means whatever happens, अगर पूरी building भी जमीन के नीचे बैठ जाए, still it will not be considered as a delay. Next is, if any provision is contained in the contract for extra work and extra works are ordered for reasonable delay in performance, cannot be penalized unless the contractor has agreed to complete the work within the specified time. This means that during the work, as per provisions in the contract document, if some additional works are instructed by the architect or the client, and the time that was decided, and the contract document said that those small works has to be incorporated at the risk of the contractor without extension of time. If that was written, then no delay, like whatever delay happens, no additional time will be given. But it doesn't mean that there is no delay in performance. The actual work is getting in order. Along with that, since there was the additional time embedded within the contract, so for example, say you are doing the external plastering, and at that point of time internal plastering हो चुका था. So some architect is telling that अच्छा थोड़ा एक artist को बुलाते हैं, interior wall painting हो गया, थोड़ा इसमें कोई artistic works करवा देते हैं. So let's get it paint like some artistic work. So that will not lead to any delay in performance of the actual contractor. But if because of any fallacies on part of the contractor, yes, someone wants to say something. Yes, Smita is unmuted. Okay, no one is saying. So because of the fault of the contractor, if there is a delay in the time that was required to complete a particular task, that will be initially considered as delay in performance. But if delay in performance of a sub work, that means a work in between the whole work is getting delayed. So internal work में थोड़ा देर हो गया, but the total work is completed absolutely on time with proper specification. Then there is a delay in performance, but contract is not breached because he has performed up to the expectation and what was promised. So there is a delay in performance in intermediate works, but totally the works, since it was completed or the performance of the contractor as expected or as was promised has happened in proper time. So there will be a delay in performance, but it will not be a breach of contract. So then what is a breach of contract? It means it is a failure to perform the work. Grossly, it is such simple is the definition. Breach of contract is a failure to perform the work. Okay. Now there can be lot of quarrels कि अरे अंदर मतलब छोटा मोटा काम तो हम लोग थोड़ा डिले हो गया था, पानी नहीं मिल रहा था, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं मिल रहा था, बट टोटल काम तो आपको जैसे परफॉर्मेंस प्रॉमिस किया था वैसे टोटल करके दिए. And he will keep on saying नहीं, there is a breach of contract क्योंकि internal works were led to some lack of performance or delay in performance. So these kind of small discussions are generally not taken to court. It is solved at site, that is known as arbitration, which is our next chapter. But let's find out that what all things will lead to this breach of contract. See, here it is written that however, not every failure to perform an obligation amounts to a true breach, as there are a number of valid excuses for non-performances. So we had several, say around 8 or 9 reasons for which you may not be able to perform as promised in a contract. So those will not lead to breach of contract. They will be considered as delay in performance, but not all delay in performance lead to a breach of the contract. You may be given additional time. Now, when a contract has been broken without sufficient excuses or jurisdiction, that means बीच में छोड़ दिया काम, or the building has been constructed or any work has been done, but not as per contracted. So contract mein there was a like evaluation of its finishes, qualities and classes and all, which has not been met. If that is not met, that might lead to breach of contract. So the next paragraph says, when a contract has been broken without sufficient excuses or jurisdiction, the party who suffers by such a breach is entitled to receive from the party in default compensation for any loss or damage caused by him by such breaches. So it may happen that contractor has brought a contract has been signed, contractor अपने सारा machinery manpower सब लेके आ गए साइट में, लेकिन सीमेंट पहुंचा नहीं. Cement was supposed to be supplied by the client. So it is a breach of contract on part of the client, not the contractor now. So any party signing the contract can be pointed and said you have done a breach of contract. Okay, but there is something that while a timeline is being prepared for signing of this contract, there is some small amount of buffer time already embedded with each work. So during signing of the contract itself, if that time is already there, an experienced contractor can have those additional buffer times or contingency times that we will say, or contingency measures. That means if something fails, he has a plan B, so that the total performance remains the same. The overall performance remains the same. So that will not lead to a breach of contract because he has accommodated those small changes that might have been undertaken. Now he will only perform those changes if the contract agreement agreed to accommodate those changes. Okay, so that's a breach of contract. There are, you can take reference of any other standard books for defining the breach of contract, but not presentations made by any other students while presenting it in LinkedIn or SlideShare or Pinterest. Nowhere, not even Wikipedia. Preferably avoid definitions of Wikipedia because people like you, me are only the people who edit and define terms in Wikipedia. Okay. The next definition that is going to come is liquidated damage. Okay. We have heard of different kinds of money that is paid during tendering, during contract. Okay. So the first one was while submitting a tender, if a small amount of money is asked for and the bidders has to pay that, it is known as an earnest money, which shows his eagerness. But there he has to pay that money. The the bidder has to pay that money. Understand the critical it is. Critical. This is very critical. It means that the bidder is actually paying that money if he is asked to pay. So earnest money is paid during submission of tender. The next that we discussed was performance bond. So while we are signing a contract, an official agreement, a legal agreement, we expect the contractor or the supplier of goods and services to pay a percentage as an assurance of his performance. Okay, so that was known as performance bond. The definition is in the next page itself. Okay, if you can rotate it, yes, here there was performance bond. Another thing, maybe additionally or maybe in form of the performance bond, was a security deposit. Okay, so security deposit is a common term. It can be converted from one form to the other. So during the tendering process, this earnest money is being utilized as a security deposit, which will work like a performance bond, and later something else maybe which will come up. It can work as a retainer. That means an amount of money which will be retained initially and will be adjusted in the subsequent bills. So that is known as a retainer. For example, say architect के साथ एक contract sign करना है, एक design करवाना है. So architect will start working initially with some concept level, but पैसा नहीं दोगे तो उसको पता कैसे चलेगा कि वो उसको काम करने के बाद ही like free में you cannot go to 10 architects, take 10 designs and then give the contract to anyone. No, to every person, every architect that you go for a design to get a design from, you have to pay 5% of the total project cost as a retainer, which if the architect gets a contract will be adjusted in the subsequent bill or in the last stage of payment. Generally in the last stage of payment, this money is adjusted. That is known as a retainer, R-E-T-A-I-N-E-R, retainer. That may happen here also, but there the money is being paid physically. Transaction of may not be currency note but check or mortgage of property or some stamp paper, some in any form, it is being paid. Actually physically it is being paid, but there is something else. It is known as a liquidated damage. Okay, so go to the second paragraph first on the screen. Like Pragya, are you still following the class on mobile?
No, so it's in laptop.
Okay, so it might look very small in mobile, hence I am saying ki if it is a laptop, fine. Is it legible on your screens? Everybody's screens, that the screen that I am sharing.
Yes, sir. I'm following PDF one.
Yes, I am
Yes,
sharing
sir.
a PDF only. Okay. Okay, thank you. So in the second paragraph of liquidated damage, there are small phrases, segments. First, liquidated damages are not penalties. They are predetermined damages set at the time that a contract is entered into. That means when you are signing a contract, there you are determining that in a later stage some sort of damage might happen. For example, say during signing of a contract, you have said that uh, a curing time of 21 days has to be given to every slab. But योर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर से सर 21 दिन अगर शटरिंग को रोक के रखेंगे तो पैसा ज्यादा लगेगा, कुछ नहीं 14 दिन के बाद हम लोग शटरिंग हटा देंगे एंड वी विल नॉट पुट एक्स्ट्रा डेड लोड ऑन द स्लैब, वी विल पुट वाटर फॉर क्यूरिंग फॉर अनदर 7 days. तो 21 days में ये सब हो जाएगा. द अदर थिंग कैन बी the contractor is supposed to take care of the security of the material that is being stored at the site. So it might happen that his workers are only stealing cement or paint or reinforcement every day and taking home. That is a damage on your part because you have to pay whatever the total bill as the contractor will supply the bills, you have to pay. So on the day of work, the contractor finds that there is less material. So he needs more material, he will procure it and submit the bill. So you have to pay. Now that is aggregating as a damage. Damage doesn't mean physical damage, but a source of a type of damage which is creating problem for smooth operation. So while signing the contract itself, the contractor or the supplier of goods and manpower is promising that if any damage happens during the work, I will pay additionally to get the damage repaired or to get the damage removed. Like I will take over and I will take care of the damage. So this is a promise which he makes in written. So during that, when the damage has actually happened, if the client uh, the whatever actual loss the client suffers because of this particular damage, the contractor may not, the contractor might say sir अभी तो मैन पावर सारे हमारे चले गए शटरिंग वगैरह करने का, लेकिन देखिए छत से पानी आ रहा है तो हमें थोड़ा सा डैम प्रूफिंग फिर से करना होगा. So but I don't have the manpower right now. Then what will happen is the owner or the client through his architect maybe is signing another contract, or maybe he is asking another supplier to come and do that damage repairing immediately. So whatever money is required to repair those damages has to be paid by the defaulter contractor who has signed the contract and promised to pay this liquidated damage. Now, why the term liquidated damage? Let me once again read what it is, you will understand. They are predetermined damages set at the time that a contract is entered into. Based on a calculation of the actual loss the client is likely to incur if the contractor fails to meet the completion date. ठीक है. Another type say contractor of construction and a promoter. They have signed a contract कि contractor will get the work done, a building housing पूरा 8 family का एक apartment तैयार करके दे देगा, and the promoter has taken advance from the clients and he is going to hand over on a particular auspicious day. But 7 days before that particular day, he sees that lot of works are left and he is sure that this contractor is going to ask for extra time for something because he cannot complete, and he has made a promise ki on a particular day he is going to hand over. So immediately he considered that this is a damage of because of any nature and he is not going to take it lightly. He will employ more people, more maybe another contractor or more workers to get it done. Maybe चार और लोगों को लाके that promoter or who at that point of time he is the client gets the job done. So there the contractor will pay for that additional work. In what form? He doesn't pay physically when the signing of contract is done, but whatever actual loss happens and the damage recovery amount, whatever is accounted for, the contractor has to pay that amount. This might include rent of temporary accommodation, removal cost, extra running cost, and so on. So to complete the work within the completion date, if any additional cost, if it is required, that can be borne by the owner, but has to be paid by the contractor. So owner will get it done and the contractor will pay for that. Okay. So a promise which is being liquidified. So anything which but ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि क्लाइंट आके बोले अरे प्रेसिडेंट इनॉग्रेट करने के लिए आने वाले हैं तो मुझे 7 दिन पहले ही ये काम करके देना है कैसी भी हो करके. So no, then he cannot claim, then he cannot liquidate the damage prevention amount of money. That means he cannot convert the promise into some monetary value. इसीलिए the term liquidated damage comes up in here. So now go to the first paragraph of this particular description. Contracts generally include a provision for the contractor to pay liquidated damage to the client in the event that the contract is breached. So if there is a breach of contract, the contractor is going to pay liquidated damages to the client. So during the sign of contract, no money is paid. Only a promise is made that if a damage happens, the contractor is going to physically pay at that point of time. Now अगर damage नहीं हुआ तो वो पैसा देने का जरूरत नहीं है. Then coming to the last paragraph on this page, liquidated damage is not a penalty. They must have been based on a genuine calculation of damages. So here the role of an architect comes up. An architect has to estimate that in the contract, सस्ते में contract हो रहा है, but there will be lot of cases where lot of damages may happen. So he prepares a rough estimate of all those damages and suggests those to the client. Now the client incorporate those that component under the heading of liquidated damage, clause for liquidated damage in the contract document itself. So they are generally say कैसे समझाऊं मैं like let's understand that you are contracting, you are a client come architect, you are signing a contract with a huge construction company. So he is going to bring manpower and everything to your site. The contract, though it was mentioned that you are going to provide, see if you remember one of the clause was organization at site by contractor. There was one clause that how the contractor is going to organize his machinery, manpower and laborers at site. He is supposed to pay proper habitable place to the workers at site, including washrooms and all. So if he is not paying those, the contractor will the workers will underperform. So if the workers are underperforming, the client is at a loss. So client will make those houses and charge a rental for those houses, or maybe से उस बिल्डिंग के आसपास में कोई गैरेज है या कोई टेम्पोररी हाउसेस है जिसका लोअर फ्लोर इज टेकन ऑन रेंटल बेसिस and the client is asking the workers to stay in those houses and the contractor has to pay that. So these are some generally some kind of fixed rental or fixed sum of money which can be paid daily, weekly, quarterly at any point of time, which is not like unnecessarily the client doesn't have to pay the money initially. So the money is money matters. So lot of money of the contractor, if they are kept mortgaged with the client will be very happy fellow and contractor will be at a loss. So here and rough an estimate is done of the probable losses that might be faced by the client in case the contractor does a breach of contract. So when the damage happen, he is going to take care of, the client is going to take care of the work and the contractor has to pay for that work. There the contractor cannot come and say अरे आप तो मतलब रेंटल 1000 रुपए का रूम में भी रख सकते हैं, आप क्यों 1500 रुपया पर डे का रूम में रख रहे हो. No, he is not going to come and say because he has made a promise of an estimated rental cost initially. अगर शुरू में ही उनको लगेगा कि 1500 रुपया पर रूम के हिसाब से नहीं रख सकते, 1000 रुपए में रखना है, तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ड्यूरिंग साइनिंग ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ओनली द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर शुड हैव मेड दोस चेंजेस. Okay. Now here a good example has been given. You can do a googling. It is very common one. Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Cooperative Limited and New Garage and Motor Cooperative Limited. A very good example which is globally followed as a, it is an Indian case. You can follow it up and find out that how this liquidated damage helped and then what is known as a unliquidated damage. Okay, so something which you cannot liquefy the penalty against in form of a damage repairing which you cannot liquefy is an unliquidated damage. एक बार ये इसको check कर लो. Keep this in mind. So what is liquidated damage and unliquidated damage? Okay. Now I have given you a handout which I was finding that there are few more different kinds of, like we didn't discuss the target price contract. So this target price contract is a cost reimbursable kind of contract. It may be a cost reimbursable also. It can be a price based contract also. Okay, we discussed it under price based. It can also be under cost based. It depends on you reach a target, you submit the bill and I pay. So nothing too much to think whether it is under this category or that category. So in the first place, the target cost will be agreed that get it done on by within 15 days and I pay you 10,000 rupees. If you take 16th day, I will pay you 9,000 rupees. You take 17th day, I will pay you 8,000 rupees. So the target is fixed and the price against that particular target is fixed. So that's a target price contract. Here, Control Shift minus. So let's find out that there are some definitions given in here. Let's quickly go through these definitions. Technical. Someone was saying something?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, Monica.
Sir, I'm having one doubt. If workers or some laborers, if someone is someone got hurt in that site, so who will be taking the responsibility, sir? Is contractor or the client or the architect?
Conventionally, the contractor should be looking after the welfare of the workers. So a person who has actually employed those workers should be conventionally. But if he gets hurt due to a problem that has happened not because of the contractor but because of some other authority. ठीक है, client एक दिन आया है, client is a VIP, he comes up with lot of bodyguards and all, roads are cleaned, everything is cleaned up, and while doing so some of the workers who are working at site gets hurt. तो उसमें contractor का कोई दोष नहीं है. Contractor will say I have given him proper helmet, safety belts, safety shoes, everything, but because of some action of another party this problem has happened. So first what will happen is conventionally the contract will be held liable and then the contractor will ask for an arbitration to solve that. नहीं इसके लिए मैं दोषी नहीं हूँ, client दोषी थे, वो pay करने वाले हैं. So there has to be an arbitrator, a third party will come up, listen to both the party, solve it and give the resolution. तो नाउ यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि ये चीज अगर कोर्ट में जाता है तो वो बेचारा तो मतलब थोड़ा सा कुछ प्रॉब्लम हुआ था, ही माइट हैव डाइड द वर्कर. So sometimes certain decision has to be taken on spot as early as possible. As early as possible. You need not wait for multiple other cases in a court to be over before your case is placed. So those are arbitrations. Is it clear, Monica?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Next 10 minutes, let's quickly go through some of the necessary definition. All of you have this particular handout with you. This has been shared separately with you. So from where we will just recall some of the things which either has been mentioned. Here the definition comes up. So first is the fourth one, comparative statement. So while public and private tenders were opened, we have this example of comparative statement where multiple products cross multiple bidders were done. Individual bidders are giving different bids or quotations for individual products, and a comparison has been established. Next is the sixth one, defect liability period. It was discussed in one of the sections or one of the clauses in the IIS form of contract, but it is repeated again here. Contractor is liable to rectify the defects during this period. It is a precondition for releasing security deposit. For building works, that this period may be 1 year or more. For waterproofing work, it may be up to 5 years or more. It is critical, but conventionally in most of the works, in 1 year or 12 months from the date of virtual completion of work is kept as defect liability period. Now you see, we just completed something known as liquidated damage. Liquidated damage का definition right side में है, number 12. And left side में है defect liability period. So defect liability period में you are utilizing either the security deposit or some retention money. So here you are utilizing the money after the virtual completion of the work till a time which is decided earlier. So if the defect liability period is 12 months, then after the completion of the works for 12 months, whatever damages happens in terms of maintenance, preventive maintenance and anything, then that particular thing, the security deposit will be utilized. That means the security deposit was already paid. The client is utilizing that money. So if I ask you that, what is a security deposit, when it is paid and when it is reimbursed back to the contractor? So security deposit का definition देना है. Then you have to say security definition का definition यहाँ in this particular right hand side में ही देखो. The 17th definition is a security deposit. It is very small one though. It is very common though. You can take critical definitions from other contract documents. But security deposit is generally deposited during the signing of the contract and retained by the contractor till when it is not given back during the virtual completion. Virtual completion हो गया तो performance bond handover हो जाता है. That means his performance is over, but the security deposit has not been given back. So that 5%, generally 5% भी security होता है, 5% performance bond होता है. So that 5% is kept aside even after completion of the work for 1 more year to take care of any defect arising after the completion. But liquidated damage is a promise where the money will be paid when actually the damage happens. So the validity of the liquidated damage is from the starting of the work to the ending of the work. Validity of defect liability period or utilization of security deposit happens even 1 year after the virtual completion of the work. Okay. Next is in the first clause of reasons for extension of time, we discuss something known as a force majeure. Here, this force majeure definition is given in Roman 9. Force majeure, this shall mean any cause which is beyond the control of the contractor or the owner, as the case may be, which they could not foresee. मतलब पहले they did not understood that this problem might have come up, or a reasonable amount of diligence could not have foreseen. कि diligence means reasonable amount of diligence means is sort of practical problems in terms of performances which was not understood before. Okay. So act of any government, domestic or foreign, including but not limited to a war, declared or undeclared, hostilities, quarantines, embargoes. So you were supposed to do some work and you had the whole month of March 2020 in your hand. But suddenly complete stoppages of transport movement has been declared. So everybody has been requested to be quarantined in their home and all. So that acted as a force measure. So now the client will not say कि अरे मैं तो आपको पैसा दिया हूँ, आप आपके खून बेच के भी आपको राइट टाइम पे काम करना पड़ेगा. नो, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर और द आर्किटेक्ट cannot perform because he will ask for an extension of time, citing the proper reasons and asking for reasonable amount of extension. Okay. The other is natural phenomena, but not limited to only flood, drought, earthquake, and epidemic. Any natural phenomena can be considered provided that causes stoppage of work. Okay. Now we ended the tender or tender processing by a letter, which is not a contract but known as a letter of intent. Letter of intent says when a contract is being proposed to be signed. So letter of intent का definition एकदम last में है देखो. Letter of intent shall mean the official notice issued by the owner. So see, this is a official notice, not a legal notice. A contract is a legal document, but letter of intent may not be a legal document. It is just a official notice. That means in there is a record that this particular letter was sent. That's all. What was there inside is not that important. It is issued by the owner notifying the contractor that the proposal has been accepted. That means the proposal means the tender has been accepted and that contractor is required to sign the contract agreement. So that's simply a letter of intent. Next is liquidated damage. We had a detailed discussion of liquidated damage. So I will not go through this right now, but all of you have a check on this. Next is performance bond. 15. Performance bond. This is an upfront payment to be made by the contractor. Upfront, that means he has to pay initially to the owner to assure him that he will successfully complete the work within specified time as per agreement conditions. Normally, they give bank guarantees or any other instrument. It will be discharged on completion of the work. So performance bond ends when the work is completed. मतलब when 90% में virtual completion हो गया, उसके बाद by the time you get the completion certificate, the complete 100% work is over. So then you return back the performance bond, but you return the security deposit to be utilized for defect liability period. Okay. नेक्स्ट तो सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है. चलो लिक्विडेटेड डैमेज देख लिया. So next is maintenance period. We have a maintenance period written beside defect liability period here, and we have one more which is warranty. Warranty is the maintenance period. This shall mean the period during which the contractor shall remain liable for repairs or replacement of any defective part of the work performed under the contract. Now, can you tell me what can be the difference between a defective liability period and a warranty period? This is open question, that what can be the difference between a defect liability period and a warranty period. Both of them are a sense of maintenance. Both these clauses are there in the contract document, but what is the difference between them?
So there is no security in, I guess, security deposit and warranty for warranty.
Oh, sorry, I was totally muted. Sorry.
Yes,
What
sir.
I was what I was saying is, in a defect liability period, the contractor does the repair work at his own cost. If he doesn't do it at his own cost, they are generally the minor repairs. Then the client will get it done from the security deposit which has still been withheld by the owner. So to get back the security deposit, अब इसमें issues किसका है? मान लो कि I am a contractor in you are a client. मैंने 100% काम खत्म कर दिया, परफॉर्मेंस बॉन्ड मुझे रिटर्न मिल गया, लेकिन मेरा 10% या 5% सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट इज स्टिल विथ यू, यू आर ए क्लाइंट. सो हाउ मच, मान लो 70 lakhs का एक प्रोजेक्ट है, तो सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट 5% होगा तो कितना होगा? 3.5 lakh,
3.5
राइट?
lakh.
सो मेरा 3.5 lakh तुम्हारे पास है. आई नीड दैट सिक्योरिटी मनी आफ्टर 1 year ऑफ माई कंप्लीशन. उसमें से नाउ छोटा छोटा डैमेजेस हुआ है, मैं जाके थोड़ा बहुत रिपेयर करूंगा, मतलब 20-25 हजार में काम हो जाएगा, ठीक है, इन द डिफेक्ट लाइबिलिटी पीरियड. बट इफ आई आस्क द क्लाइंट कि नहीं, मैं तो, मेरे पास अभी लोग नहीं है, आप करवा लीजिए, क्लाइंट क्या करेगा? क्लाइंट 20,000 में थोड़ा ही वो काम करवाएगा. ही हैज गॉट ए स्कोप, ही हैज 3.5 lakh ऑफ द सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट लेफ्ट विथ हिम, ही विल फ्रीली यूटिलाइज दोस टू रेक्टिफाई दोस डैमेज. से बहुत बड़ा सा फिर से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बुलाएगा, वर्ल्ड क्लास इंटीरियर डेकोरेटर को लाएगा, इवेलुएट करेगा, मेंटेनेंस करेगा, डिफेक्ट को रिपेयर करेगा. सो उसका 3.5 लाख रुपया जो पेंडिंग था वो पूरा पानी में चला गया. सो इट इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, और द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर हैज मोर अर्ज टू रेक्टिफाई स्मॉलर डिफेक्ट्स in the defect liability period. लेकिन warranty is something else. This shall mean the period during which the contractor shall remain liable for repairs or replacement of any defective part. That means मान लो कि वारंटी किसको बोलते हैं? वारंटी, यू हैव परचेज ए लैपटॉप एंड देयर इज ए वारंटी पीरियड. सो उस पीरियड के अंदर में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है, देयर इज ए गारंटी एंड देयर इज ए वारंटी, टू डिफरेंट थिंग. वारंटी में क्या होता है? विद इन दैट से 5 years को वारंटी, मतलब 5 साल के बीच में एनी टेक्नीशियन कम्स अप एंड से कि आपका मदरबोर्ड डैमेज हो गया, उसको रिपेयर करवाना है. सो ही विल डू द रिपेयरिंग एंड ही विल चार्ज फॉर द रिपेयरिंग, बट ही विल डू बिकॉज इट फॉल्स अंडर वारंटी पीरियड that has been contracted with that particular person. You are not going to take it to any other Ramsham in market. ऐसा होता है वारंटी पीरियड, या जाके बोलते हो अरे वारंटी पीरियड है मतलब आपको पूरा रिप्लेस करके देना पड़ेगा? अभिषेक?
Yes, sir.
So they have
Right?
to
Replace.
they
Replace
will,
करने का.
they have the knowledge, those who have the knowledge they sign the warranty, so contractor will do it. now मान लो कि ये बोल रहे हैं कि आपके वारंटी पीरियड में है, मैंने पहले किचन का स्लैब कास्टिंग नहीं करवाया था, अभी अब वो मेरा प्लान में नहीं था, अभी वारंटी पीरियड में है, आपको करके देना है. तो क्या कॉन्ट्रैक्टर फिर से अपना डिफेक्ट लायबिलिटी पीरियड के अंदर में हूँ बोल के पूरा किचन का स्लैब वगैरह सब फिनिशिंग ग्रेनाइट से करके थोड़ा ही देगा? नो. बट सिंस इट वाज ए वारंटी पीरियड कम्स अंडर मेंटेनेंस, वो अगर नहीं होगा तो किचन यूटिलिटी नहीं होगा. सो ही विल चार्ज, ही विल साइन ए स्मॉल सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट and take the money for the material and he will get that work done, but he is the same contractor who is doing. तो अगर if he has a daily labor charge contracted in a labor contract, उतना ही पैसा पे करना है, साथ में बस मटेरियल के लिए क्लाइंट इज पेइंग, क्लाइंट को अपने जेब से देना है. सो दैट इज ए वारंटी पीरियड.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for the timing we are completing the chapter of tender and contract. In the next class, which is on Monday, by Saturday Sunday I will try to send you the handout for arbitration and conciliation. That will be the next chapter. Okay, I hope you have utilized the time in the last week to see what all chapters were being discussed and what all small topics, and the handouts, the material, study material should be with you. नहीं तो मतलब एग्जाम्स में प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. सो फॉलो दोज अप. किसी को भी प्रॉब्लम होगा तो यू कैन पर्सनली व्हाट्सअप मी और सेंड मी अ मेल आस्किंग दैट, और यू कैन सेंड इट इन द ग्रुप itself that you need this particular handouts and all. And in the meantime, in the next 2 days I will share with you the handouts for the arbitration and conciliation. If any one of you is having M Chakraborty's estimation and costing book, एस्टिमेशन स्पेसिफिकेशन कॉस्टिंग का बुक एम चक्रवर्तीज, you can follow that book. और किसी के पास there this arbitration chapter is there only in that book. Other estimation books में arbitration is not included. Okay, thank you so much. I guess you have one more class right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.